it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again for another Simple Stamping Saturday. While you are watching this, I am in Germany at the on-stage event, 3 days, looking at spring, summer and celebration catalogues. It's going to be so exciting. But Simple Stamping Saturday continues anyway. Do remember, if you want any of the products that I'm showing you today, or indeed any other products, you can get those from my online store, and there's a link to that below in the description bar. Okay, Simple Stamping Saturday, for those who may not know, is 3 projects. A very simple and quick one, one that is stepped up a bit, and then one that's stepped up much more. I'm using the Back on Your Feet stamp set simply because there is a really nice guy in our village who has had a horrible accident, and I want to be able to tell him that I'm thinking of him. So we're going to use the turtle because he is not on his feet at the moment, and I thought that would maybe put a smile on his face. So this is what I have prepared. It's very simple. We're just using a sentiment, preferably without going off the edge, and then colouring it in. And then, because it's Simple Stamping Saturday, I have stamped on the envelope as well. So let me show you how I've done this. Starting with the note card and envelope, I'm using Whisper White. Then I've got my sentiment and my stamp ready to go. So I'm going to start by inking that up, and I'm going to squeeze it as far over to the right as I can get it, given that last time I didn't have enough room. So the base is straight where the shading is, so if I come right over to the right hand side, with luck, yay, and then ink up my sentiment, and there's the fold. So I'm going to sneak in from the fold and stamp, and there we go. So that's those bits of stamping. I'm going to stamp on my envelope now because I want the ink to dry completely. Just got a scrap piece of paper, otherwise known as the back of an order document. My brain went there for a moment, so I've inked up again, and I'm just going to make sure I'm the right way up. Just going to sneak in the bottom right hand corner with that, and then I've got the ouch, and I'm just going to ink that up and squish that in the right way up, preferably just next to that. Now, I'm not going to colour any of those, that's just for the envelope, so that's all I want to do with that. Pop the ink away, pop my scrap of paper away, and by now this should all be dry. Now, I've only used 4 colours from the watercolours, but I have used colours from both of the watercolour sets because I wanted the crushed curry. There isn't a colour in the original set that's quite right otherwise, so all I'm doing, let me get my previous one so I can see what I'm doing. So crushed curry is basically going to go on all of his shell, and so I'm just going to lay all of that down first. This is probably the longest bit. Actually, it's not probably the longest bit. This is the longest bit of the whole project, is laying down the colour. But it's not difficult, it's just time consuming, and only a little bit time consuming. So I hope that by now you will have seen some of the excitement that I will have shared with you from on stage. If I remember, I'm really bad at these things because I used not to. This is Old Olive, this is going on his body. Because I never used to do social media until I started doing Stamping Up, my previous job just didn't kind of do social media. So yeah, I'm kind of not in that whole mindset, but I'm trying. I'm getting there, but it's slow. I will get there eventually, but I am a few years behind most people on it. But so yes, it's I love the on-stage events. You can only go if you're a demonstrator. This time there's a live event or a local event, and if the live event is in your region, there are no local events, so it's a question of going to Germany or not going. I don't think I would not go. If I could possibly find the money to go, I would go, because they are just such fun. We get to see all the new stuff early, as I say. Early espresso, just to add some shading onto the kind of pattern on his shell. So yes, we get sneak peeks, we get to play with new product. Most importantly, we get to meet up with fellow demonstrators, many of whom are already friends. So it's just a wonderful event. I'm going early espresso on the inside of his shell, just so that it's shaded, and anywhere else where I think there should be a little bit of shading, I'll just add a little bit of early espresso. And then I'm going to put some old olive on some of the kind of stripy bits around the edge of his shell. Right, so that's the long bit. Then I've got a blender pen. Just make sure it's clean. Always make sure that they're clean before you use them. And then I tend to use a kind of circular-ish motion. I find it's the easiest way of making sure I get a kind of even finish. Don't press too hard and don't go over the same area too much, or you will break down the fibres of your card and it will pill. And that is not attractive. It's not attractive on a jumper, and it certainly isn't attractive on a card. Okay, so now I'll just colour in those bits which are also old olive, and then scribble and come in again. And anything that is cherry cobbler, I will colour, or blend rather, and pick up the early espresso bits as I'm going. And then I'm going to do the grid before I come in and do the pattern, as it were, just so that is kind of kept as early espresso, and then just come in, and I'm going from the early espresso onto the crushed curry. It just helps with the shading a bit, because the colour obviously stays darker at the beginning of your blend and gets lighter as you blend it out. That's that. Then the only other thing I need to do is with my basic grey, just add some shadow. And then, and again, I'm going to pull that out so that it fades out. So that is our quick card. Let me just fold it on the score line, grab a bone folder, and there is our lovely card. And then we've also got our lovely envelope. So 2 note cards and envelopes, really quick. Where are we? 8 minutes, and that included a bit of waffle at the beginning. So those are our quick and easy versions. Let me just grab those so that you've got those to look at. I need to score that a bit better. I'll score from the back, then if I make a mark it won't show on the front. And then I've got a slightly stepped up version. So again, I'm using the watercolour pencils here. Old olive background, just to time with the old olive. This is a 2-inch circle punch, and then the starburst punch with some of the gold glimmer paper. And then I've just done the sentiment on a strip of paper. This is on dimensionals, and I've got one of the goggle eyes. Goggle eyes? Yes, Google eyes. Which were part of the Halloween suite, but they're great for this as well. So I've just popped one of those on. And then my next version, I've added heat embossing in the background. I used the layering circles for this. Again, goggle eye. This is blends. And then I've, say, heat embossed ouch on the background, bit of ribbon, sentiment, and there we go. So those are the 3 projects, and you can see they are basically the same, just stepped up. I did use quite a selection of blends. I will list what I used, but do remember, once you've got them, they last for a very long time. I'm only just beginning to replace a couple of mine, and we've had them, I want to say, for 2 years now. So yeah, and I use them a lot. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Do remember that I will list all the products below. There's a link to my website with the post for this video. So just click on the associated blog post link. It's kind of looks as if it's gobbledygook, but it's the short link. That will then take you to a page with some close-up photos. Also, very important, you've got until tomorrow. Let me check dates. Until, yes, tomorrow, to either share the video, share my Facebook business page post, or share my blog post. You get an entry for each one of those that you share, or if you place an order with me and use the host code, you get 5 entries to win a Stamparatus, new inbox Stamparatus from me, and I will draw that on Monday the 18th. So do take advantage of that while you can. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.